I like horns, whistles, chuckles, screams, and tons of laughter. Giggle, hoot, horses, happy ever after. King, queen, prince, and prince of bridge with a troll. Kingdom grand or tiny and little rabbit holes. I love puppies, fishing, kittens, choo-choo trains, and fire trucks. Things that moo and meow and quack and chickens suckle cluck. I like clothes, quilts, and little lamps and things that fly are fun. Put them in a story, please. I'll not move until you're done.
Okay, so today we're going to go back to Chloride, Arizona, only this time we're going to go to the Historical Society. And we're going to be guided through some of the very interesting history of Chloride by our friends Merle and Jean Anderson. Now, Chloride is really interesting in the fact that a few years ago they built this western town and they called it Cyanide Springs, and it's really great for shooting music videos or westerns or anything like that that you can think of. And there's also a theater built on this property, and there's nobody there to make it a theater. It's ready to happen. So if you're thinking of volunteering for something, this is a good place to start. In the meantime, we're going to go off and see the museum, and we still have more adventures to come in Chloride. But I'm breaking it up into little things so that you don't get bored to death with me. All right, let's go to Chloride.
Merle Anderson.
I'm Jean Anderson.
How long have you guys lived here in Chloride?
About 4 years.
What brought you here?
Well, we looked for 30 years for a place to move to after we sold the business, and 30 years across the U.S., this was the only place we found we wanted to come back to. So I can't tell you what brought us here. We just liked it. The people are very nice. It's very slow. There's nothing to do here, so you can relax.
A lot of people love to look at the night. The night skies are awesome. You can see every star. It's beautiful and so quiet. It's great.
But if you want to do something, we're not very far from Las Vegas or Havasu or Kingman or Laughlin, Bullhead, so everything is right close by. You don't have to have it in your front yard in order to be able to do it.
That's a good point.
No, everybody is here because there's nothing to do. That's the way we like it.
We're standing here at the miner's grave. Would you tell me a little bit about it?
It's a cemetery that has no actual graves in it. There are no people. The names on the headstones are mines around the area, and you can see it says Civil War veterans. We had a lot of veterans in Chloride, even way back when. Jim Fritz, the person whose name is on the museum, and it's his home, he was a World War I veteran. So we had lots of, going way back, we had lots of veterans.
So how many mines were there here?
There's a photo in the museum, and I think I counted 180 pointed out on that photo.
180?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Well, they were all small individual mines. They came here looking for gold and silver, but they found lead and zinc. So there was never enough money to have really huge mines.
The Chloride Historical Society owns and maintains this property. It was donated by Jim Fritz's sister after he died and before she died. So that's how the Historical Society came to own this property and maintain it. We also have the jail, the old jail. So it's quite an undertaking for our little tiny Historical Society.
So what year was it built again?
95, I'm told.
By the people of Chloride. And the name of the group was the Silver Bell Players. And there's a picture of them on the wall over here. The dresses.
These are actual costumes that were used in plays and stuff?
Yes. Her name was Ruthie White, and there are little things in the dresses that say Silver Bell Original, the company stores, Chloride, Arizona 86431.
That's your zip code?
Yes.
This is the boys and girls room, huh?
Yeah.
Is that for changing?
Yeah. We used this for historical society meetings and programs and stuff like that now. These chairs came out of an old show house in Kingman, is my understanding, many years ago.
What was the story about the jailhouse?
It isn't really a jailhouse. We have a very old jailhouse that my understanding was built in 1917, and it's a couple of streets over, and it's available for people to go in. No.
It's kind of a good thing when your jails go out of business.
Well, the building is falling apart, so they locked it up to keep people out of it just in case a
Yes.
giant slab of concrete falls over.
Well, it's good punishment for a criminal.
They say that the first guy to be jailed got up in the morning and broke out because he had to go to work. Don't know if that's a true story either.
But it's a good one.
Yeah.
So I'm walking into the jail, right?
Yep.
How about if you go ahead of me?
You're not that adventurous. Well, you can see how it's held together.
Yes. Wow, everything is shifting.
Established 1917.
Wow. When was it?
1917.
Wow. Can you imagine being in this jail?
It's pretty modern. Look, see, we have light switches over here.
Look at this.
Those were put in 1937.
Hey, I had a car that you drove like that.
Was that? Yeah, this would be the deputy's room here.
Look at the wall. It's coming out that way. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, everything's shifting toward California.
My
Wow.
grandmother's house in Los Angeles had buttons like this for the little switches. So yeah, those are light switches.
I have never seen that before.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, is this another jail over here?
Yeah, and each cell had a privy in it.
Put two doors in there.
Yeah.
It's a two drink maximum cell, right?
Who knows how many beds were in each cell? I don't know.
So I'm asking you, so this is holding the wall up?
Basically, that's why this cable was put here. Yeah, to keep the outside wall from falling down.
Wow.
I don't know how effective it is, but
How about if we test it? No, I'm just
not very
kidding.
tight. Yeah.
So,
Building depicted here still exists. It doesn't have a roof on it or anything in the windows, but it's outside of town. These pictures up here on the ceiling are interesting because they were taken in 1917, and at that particular time you could not own land here. It was all public land. So that makes all those people squatters, I guess.
what's this back over in here?
Well, I think that this part of the house was what Jim bought, and he added on these 3 rooms.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's true, but we have pictures that seem to indicate there was just this one room here. It was probably one of the nicer homes in the state.
Yeah.
And here is a picture from the Los Angeles Herald that was taken out of the walls when they took that old paper insulation down, and it's dated 1901. So we know this building was here at the turn of the century.
Wow.
Jim Fritz and his sister were the ones who lived in this home, and this is her bedroom in here. Or was her bedroom.
Yeah, I don't want to wake her up. This looks like Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear. So you're doing a history project? Tell me about it.
Well, the museum in Kingman is giving us 600 pictures from Chloride, and we're going to print some of them and hopefully put them on some of our historic buildings so people will know what used to be there in the day. But they also sent a bunch of pictures of tokens, and some of them would say the Tennessee Mine, or the token would say so-and-so's bar, and evidently it was their type of money that they used. The mines gave them, the stores gave them, they used them for pay and change, and I thought this was really interesting, this counterfeit coins found by Chloride resident. I really feel she found a bunch of the old tokens that were used back then. Nobody really knew what they were when she found them, but having those pictures, I think that's what she had. And I thought that was so interesting.
Jim owned 11 homes, and he rented rooms to miners. And we're told this is the only one that had a kitchen. So we don't really know if they prepared food in here to feed to some of the miners, or how that worked. But
We're told that they put the porch, the wraparound porch out here on so they could feed the miners. He and his sister cooked, and they fed the miners. His homes that he rented to the miners were tent
a
houses.
lot of them would have been tent platforms.
Yeah, there's a platform of wood with a tent over the top. He rented those. And when the miner couldn't find gold, he put his shovel back on his burro and left, and Jim would move it somewhere else and rent it to another miner.
Somebody told me that the average soldier in World War I was 5'2".
What?
So it gives you an idea of why these ceilings are so low, because people were that small back then. We finally discovered that's part of an old cash register. Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, nobody had money to pay for anything. So when you went to the store, you charged everything you got, and then 6 or 8 months later, when you got some money, you went in and paid for it. So with this, the customers each had their little mousetrap where their receipt was kept, and there was a book which had the number and the name and how much the person owed in it. And we don't have it, but there's a second part of this, a lower part, which was a cash drawer, which has some buttons on it to keep track of the cash a little bit. So this is only part of that, but this must have been in one of the stores that was here in town.
Yeah, so these bricks are adobe bricks?
Yeah, it's local adobe, which means they aren't very good. But these actually came out of a house here in Chloride. A gentleman was remodeling the house, and he knew that the exterior walls had been adobe, but there was also an interior wall that was adobe. And when he exposed it, they didn't touch the ground, so he had to remove the wall. So we got.
So now you're showing me something here. Okay. And what happens? The end slides off?
This slides off, and whether they even go together, I don't know. Maybe they don't even belong together. But we found it like this, and everybody that comes through here, I ask if they can identify it, and so far nobody has. At first, the train stopped at the bottom of Silver Hill, just a couple miles down the way. That was where the train station and the master's house was, and so forth. And all the loading docks and everything, they had to place the Y to turn the train around. It was down there. Well, in 1912, they extended the tracks up here into town. In 1912, this became the center. Once again, the turnaround was down there, so they had to turn the trains around, and then they backed all the way up into town in order to stop here. But yeah, this is where the passengers and the groceries, mail, whatever else was on the train. And it went from here to Kingman and back, so they called it the BNF, the Back and Forth Railroad. Originally, their plan was to extend the railroad to Salt Lake City. But as I understand it, they couldn't figure out how to get across the Colorado River, so it ended at Chloride. This is as far as it went. And then, of course, you know, when the markets crashed, then sometime in the early 30s, and they took up the railroad, the ties, and everything.
Wow.
And that all disappeared.
I've heard of taking your ball and going home, but I've never heard of taking your railroad track and going home.
Yeah, well,